Hi everybody, my name is Leanne and I'm happy to be chatting with you wherever you are. I am a member of a 12-step fellowship that practices abstinence, and I'm also a member of a 12-step fellowship that that realizes that you can be affected by other people and that it has a serious impact on your life. Meaning anonymous, of course. So, I'm here to talk to you today about what I'm doing right now to maintain my sanity, my peace of mind, and my sobriety, which allows me to have a life and to be able to be content and happy every day. I grew up in a house, just to kind of, I guess, qualify myself, I grew up in a house where I had a parent who was dependent on alcohol, had a significant impact on me and in my childhood, and the coping strategies that I created on my own in order to survive my world. And then as a teenager, I sought out alcohol and other substances, and that was then my coping mechanism. I was powerless, and I didn't realize it until I came to these rooms, and I discovered a lot about myself in the text. And in you guys, when you guys tell me how you think and feel, and how you react to everyday situations, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're talking about me and how I think and feel, but you don't know me, and how are we having this connection when I haven't met you before, and I'm confused, but I'm also relieved because I know I'm not alone. So those experiences happened to me, and I stuck around, and as they say, like, the miracle happened, and I'm really grateful for that. Part of that miracle was Hope Place Centers, actually, speaking to the counselors when my husband was in treatment, and just starting to really look into my past and look into my history and my life experiences, and just look at things and see them for what they are, and try to understand things and realize that I do have a choice. I didn't think I did for a lot of things, and there are things that I can do, and tools that I can start to implement in order to change my life. And I'm really grateful for everything that was put in my path when I really, had that pivotal turning point, and I realized that my life was unmanageable, and I could not do it on my own anymore, and I needed help, and then it was all laid out. I was graced with God's help, and He worked through people, and that was actually almost 8 years ago that change started to happen. Actually, it's 8 years ago tomorrow that I was in this building, now that I think about it, doing the family program meeting, because my husband was in treatment, and he wasn't my husband at the time. And yeah, that's kind of a neat realization. But anyways, I guess what I'm doing now, just to kind of fast forward it to how I'm coping in 2020 during this pandemic, I have to constantly be seeking out and relying on others, relying on my higher power, relying on my sponsor, relying on my network of people that I have in the fellowship. I've actually moved twice. So we started in Burlington, then we moved in Hamilton, and now we live in Brantford. So what's amazing about that is you can kind of, once you're confident and secured in the fellowship, you can pick up and move city, and then you can just get, obtain all these great new allies in the fellowship, as long as I'm able to get out of my shell and reach out and connect with people. Which I have a terrible time with. I'm an excellent isolator. I am fabulous at not picking up the phone and calling people, even though I know that I have nothing to be afraid of. It certainly is an old trigger of mine, to not want to go outside of my comfort zone for fear of being abandoned, hurt, or rejected. Those are certainly my to the core from my childhood, those are my greatest fears, being abandoned, rejected, or excluded. I work on that a lot every day. But the great thing about, us being vulnerable and being ourselves in this fellowship is that we're all so alike in so many ways, and I don't have to be afraid. It's like it's all in my head, and there's this quote up on the wall here: don't believe everything you think, your thoughts are just that, thoughts, and mine can overwhelm me and control me if I let them, and they're not, it's not good programming. So back to the subject at hand, social media is amazing right now. And I'm an ex-gen, I'm not techie. It takes me a long time and a lot of swearing to understand this new technology. I kind of took it upon myself for our group to create a Zoom account so that we could have online meetings about a month ago. And I was, swearing. I was getting frustrated with my computer. One of the amazing things was that I reached out to a new friend that I'd made in our fellowship in our neighborhood, and I probably normally wouldn't have spoken to him that much, but we've been on the phone for hours now, and he's been like my tech guy, and we've had little meeting chats in between, and it's just, that's a blessing that I'm having this experience with a person that I normally wouldn't have because of this crisis that we're suffering. And I come out of that conversation feeling confident about my tech skills, but I come out of that conversation knowing that I've connected with another human being who suffers with the same disease, and that is helping me top up my spiritual, the component that requires a spiritual solution, which is connecting with other people and working in a sense of love and not, centering my thoughts and my actions and my fears and ego, which is where my disease lives. So anything I can do to get out of that is going to be beneficial for me to have, a contented hour or a contented day. And then, of course, when I'm chairing these Zoom meetings, I'm hosting these Zoom meetings, and everybody comes and they log on, and they're not techie either. So I'm muting them, and I'm swearing about them and how they can, why aren't they getting it, and why aren't they doing it properly? And I'm like looking at my husband, and I'm just like, what the hell, like this guy, and that's me being impatient, and it's one of my character defects, but it's also just an outlet to, let off some steam, like a pressure cooker needs to let off some steam, because what we're going through right now is quite frightening, and it's quite overwhelming. If I let it, if I get too far down the rabbit hole of thinking about exactly what it is, but when I bring it back to one day at a time, like today I'm okay. I have food in my cupboard. I have a husband who can go to work, and we have to be mindful of things, but we're doing okay. And I have all of the opportunities at my resource to reach out and use the tools that have been taught to me. I've had some amazing conversations with my sponsor these last few weeks, and again, like we're close, but not as close as maybe she is with her other sponsees because of me and the way I limit things and the way I keep people away because of my fears that I mentioned, being vulnerable. But Jessica loves me. She's showed that time and time again, constantly. She's never rejected or abandoned me, and that I've shown her all of my warts, and she loves me just the same, unconditionally, and that's what I've always wanted, unconditional love, and she gives it to me. And when I remember that, then I don't have to put my walls up and be afraid and like follow through with my negative thinking. Like Jessica's there for me, and I can talk to her, and sometimes she kicks my butt and she tells me what I really don't want to hear, but what I need to hear, and that's still great too. I am grateful for that, and her doing those things for me is another step that allows me to live a happy and contented life for the most part. Life on life's terms, like COVID aside, life can throw you a curveball, and it's how you react in those moments is what's gonna, you know, I don't know how to say what I want to say. I have a choice. I have a choice on how I react. I can, you know, get stuck and wallow in self-pity, or I can turn my thoughts to God and to others, and how can I be of help for others. And when I do that, it distracts me of, you know, the things that are actually quite sad in my life and that I have no control over. But I do have a lot of blessings, and I have to trust that God has a plan for me, and it's not exactly what I think or I want it to be right in this moment, but it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be designed for me, and it's going to be a way that I can be of help to others, kind of like how I hope I am being right now with you guys. I don't know. I just think that it's as simple as trust God, clean house, help others, whether it's COVID or not. I have to get on my knees and ask God for help every day on how to, you know, carry out His will for me, and to be helpful to others, and then to remember to do that after I get off and go with my day. Because I can forget all the time to turn around and turn my thoughts over to God. But yeah, it's, I was in a Zoom meeting last night, and we were sitting in our living room in Brantford, and we were talking with a lot of members in a Burlington fellowship, and there was also people from Indiana in our meeting as well, and I never would have met American members from Indiana had it not been for this. So there's more than likely, there's usually going to be a silver lining in a situation, and to just try and look for that, and whatever you can do to just stay sober for today is a miracle. And if you've managed to do that, then, you know, you're doing it. So just keep that in mind, and try and have the faith to reach out to others. I don't know how long I talked for, but I feel like that's a good amount of time. So I look forward to possibly meeting you one day in person, but until then, stay safe and happy 24.